Hello and welcome to Radically Aligned. Oh, I'm so excited to have you on this journey with me. My name's Vicky Chisholm. I'm going to be your host. We're going to be exploring all things alignment in business and in your soul. We're going to be bringing together some amazing episodes to help you cultivate the alignment that works for you so you can have soul-aligned business success. But more importantly, we're also going to be bringing in guests for interviews so you can learn not just from me, but from experts all over the world. Are you ready? Let's go. Hello, welcome back. Hi, Kerrie. I've got an amazing guest with me today, and it's just going to be awesome. So, Kerrie, can you just do a little introduction of who you are, what you do, and who you serve?
Yeah, absolutely. So I serve parents who want to build a nice, easy business that's going to give them that lifestyle where they can spend more time with their children. So I help them create passive income online businesses. So, things like digital downloads, being an affiliate, network marketing, whatever kind of fits in with them and their lifestyle. If they come to me and they're already running a business, we talk about how they can add things like online courses and memberships into their existing business. And if they come to me without any business at all, we just dive really deep into who they are and what would work really well for them. Most of them have got children with additional needs. A lot of them home educate their children. So it's really a case of, I want to live my best life and not be constrained by working 9 to 5 in my business or for someone else. How can you help me do that? So loads of fun.
I hear that totally. So thank you so much. So welcome. This is Kerrie Rycroft. Okay, we're just going to dive in with the conversation here because I think we're already there.
Perfect.
So I am a Sen mum. I have all of my children have additional needs. Not all of them are officially diagnosed. Some of them I've done privately, which isn't actually recognised on the NHS. But anyway,
I'm in exactly the same place. Yeah, because the NHS waiting list was like 2 years long, and I thought, well, why would I not just want to spend £2,000 now and get it done?
Yeah,
because
exactly.
yeah.
So, with that in mind, for my personal journey, I kind of became unemployable when I had 3 children. And I know there are so many entrepreneurs out there that are on the entrepreneurial journey because realistically they want to be with their children.
Yeah.
So I became completely unemployable because one child would get sick, then the other child would get sick, and then the other child would get sick. So out of a whole month, that would be like 3 weeks where I couldn't go to work.
No,
And it was
exactly.
viable. And
exactly.
And then add in all the additional needs, hospital appointments and everything else. So I just made a decision that actually this isn't going to work for me anymore. It was making me physically ill and I just needed something else. So I came into business through basically force. I was kind of forced into it. But then what it has done for me has completely and utterly changed my life. And I know I'm not alone in that. And there are many other parents out there that have said, actually, by running my own business, I was able to be everything that I needed to be in those moments.
Yeah, I was in a very similar situation. So I'm a single mum and I've got 4 children. 2 of them are autistic. My youngest one has a heart condition, literally in and out of hospital all the time. I joke that I've built my business from the back of an ambulance. So not like one of these passive income people that's always flying off around the world on jet-setting adventures. I'm literally sitting outside football training because I can't leave him on his own football training because of the care plan and all of the additional needs.
Yeah.
I've built my business from sitting in my car outside football training, suddenly calling an ambulance and then ending up in hospital for a week. So I just grab my laptop and phone and off we go. I joke all the time and say nobody would ever employ me now, but also I don't think I'd want to work for anybody else at this point. When you've just looked after yourself for so long, you get to that stage of going, no, this is great. So
yeah, I hear you. Okay, so when it comes to the business side of things, I noticed you mentioned that when parents with kids with additional needs, they're possibly homeschooling, they come to you about business stuff as well, and they're like, oh, kid, help me structure all this, right?
Yeah.
One of the things that I find in my space is that a lot of people are told to just do things to make the income and then ultimately they're spending all this time on this money and it's not working for them. Do you have a similar experience with that as well, in terms of bringing them back into alignment with their business and actually making sure that the way they're structuring it is based on how they want to function as a human being, as well as serve and live life?
Yeah, absolutely. We go right back to basics. And one of the first questions that I ask people is, like, how much time, how structured do you like your days to be, and how much time do you have for structure? I do not work well with structure. Like this week, this appointment right now is the only appointment I have in my calendar. I don't work well with structure. I work well with fly by the seat of my pants. Whereas some people have like set hours a day when they want to be able to do things. So yeah, every single customer that works for me has a completely different business. I had a group call last night and I had 4 people on the call, all working in very similar niches, but each one of them has structured their business in a completely different way. And as we were talking, they were all like, oh, that's really interesting that you're, oh, in a way, selling what I'm selling, but I've never thought of doing it that way. And I said to them, that's because that wouldn't work for you. This works really well for her and her family, but it wouldn't work for you and your family, because I know that, you guys need different things. There isn't one size fits all, is there? There isn't one way to
There
raise a
isn't.
child. There's not one way to be a parent. There's not one way to run a business. So yeah, I find that people are often quite jaded when they come to me and say, oh, that would never work for me. I couldn't do that. And so I kind of invite all of my clients right behind the scenes of my business. I do a breakdown once a month of the hours that I've worked, the money that I've made, the mistakes that I've made, things that have gone wrong. And I'm really open about the fact that I might only have 10 minutes to sit and record a video. So I'll sit and record 2 or 3 videos and save them. And then I might have half an hour later on when I can edit them and upload them. But everything is done in like tiny little pockets of my time. And I think by being really open and vulnerable about that and showing people like, this is my family and this is my world and this is how we do it, and then that encourages them to be more open and honest about what time they have available and how their lives work and what could possibly work for them. Because I think I probably have less time than 99% of other business owners, but I make it work. And I think that's quite good to be able to show people.
Yeah, it is. And I think if we could continue to share more of that, then things would be very different, because we live in a society where everything's perfect online, and
Yeah.
actually it isn't perfect. It isn't always
No,
easy, flowy. And when it comes
no.
to having an aligned business, there's only one person that can make that happen, and that is the individual, because they need to know what they want
Yeah.
in terms of how to build it. I mean, I've got clients that want a lot more than others. Some clients are like, do you know what? I just want a simplified business model that's going to generate an income, that's going to enable me to do the things that I want to do. I want to go and travel, so I need to be able to work and travel at the same time, and have more support in other areas. And then you've got other people, they're like, right, I'm going to work 3 set days a week. These are the hours that I'm going to work. This is the work that I'm going to undertake. And then the rest of the time is just mine. And then you've
Yeah.
got people like me who go, well, actually, I do really only work 3 days a week. My hours are very flexible. And ultimately I will have set things that I do on set days, but if I decide that I'm going to start running a project, I'm probably going to work evenings and weekends to get that project done as well, because I find it fun and creative, and it's my way of being expressive and things. So when it comes to I'm going to come back to the parent side of things, because that's an area of your expertise there, which is really quite really valuable, and we flipping need it. Us parents need this, right? So what do you find are the biggest challenges for SEN parents who are also running businesses, other than the hospital appointments and the other things that you have to keep up with?
Um, I think at the very beginning, the biggest challenge is believing they can do it. Often they're so downtrodden and so like exhausted with everything else they've got on, they don't have the self-confidence and the self-belief that they can do it. So I think at the beginning, that's a really big area of, that won't work for me. It works for other people, but it
Yeah.
won't work for me. Um, and I think once you're there and you're established and you're running your business, not letting yourself get dragged down by comparisonitis, comparing yourself with everybody else, that's the biggest thing, because everybody's journey is so different. But it's really easy to get tangled up in oh, that person's just made 6 figures in 6 days. And I'm like, no, they haven't. Like, genuinely. Okay, but let's be real, they haven't. I think it's really easy to get caught up in the comparing yourself with other people and other businesses and how other people are doing it. So staying in your own lane is a big focus, I think.
Absolutely, and I totally advocate that as well. So in terms of alignment, what's been like your biggest customer story? We've gone from
Oh, my current favorite customer is Emily, and I love her to pieces because she came into my membership about a year ago, like a really low ticket membership. So not one-on-one work, nothing, really that you don't get a great deal of me in it. And she came in as a send mum with children who were somewhere in school, somewhere out of school. And she wanted to be able to build a business and look after her family and, do things in her own way.
Really, yeah.
And she just listened to everything and came on every training call and followed just everything. You get those customers that just show up and do the work for everything. And this year she launched her business properly. This year, and she had a goal to make £500 a month from her business, which was going to be majorly life changing. And she did £900 in January and about the same last month. And we're just launching her a membership this month, which should, within a few weeks of being launched and settled in, start to make her £1,000 a month. And all she does is show up and be there to support her clients, and it works so well for her. I'm doing some one-on-one work with her at the moment, which means I've got access to her sales funnel system. And I always have a quick look at mine every morning, and then I have a quick look at hers. And honestly, I'm more excited by her sales at the moment than I am mine. When you just go, this.
Yeah, I do.
Just because I know how much I know how much it's going to change everything for her. And because she's just shown up and she's just trusted everything. She started doing videos, TikTok videos. She was really not confident at the beginning. But now she's got to the point where she's making a few £100s a month on the TikTok Creator Fund. So she's literally being paid just by creating videos. She was quite nervous in the beginning about, what people would think and things like that. But now she's brilliant. She's literally rocking it, and I love it.
Makes me super happy. I really love with coming back into alignment with business as well is when you're doing the things that excite you, when you're doing the things that you love, when you're doing the things that really create that change, things become easier. They do become so much easier, and you start really embracing the fun with it. And when you're able to work that around children's needs as well, I mean, I was like, my eldest, we basically spent majority of her childhood in and out of hospital all the time. It was constant. She doesn't have that as much anymore, which is really great. She still has to have checkups and stuff, but I mean, it was really, really, really intense. So trying to run a business in that, I mean, there were days when you would just look at me and you'd think I'd just crawled off the street. I was that exhausted. I was that run down. And trying to build a business when you're doing that as well is absolutely not easy at all. But when you have a business that works around whatever's happening in your life, and this is what I share in the my Radically Aligned book, if you do things that are in alignment, everything becomes easier. You start attracting the right people that understand. You start building from a place of compassion and empathy and joy, rather than so and so told me to go and do this, so I'm just going to do that. And
it stops feeling like work, doesn't it? I mean, I always say there is no work-life balance in my world. There's no work Kerrie, mum Kerrie, home Kerrie. I'm just me, and I do things, and those things make me money and let me support the kids. A lot of my clients are in a WhatsApp group. All of my memberships are all bundled into one WhatsApp group. And I drive to the stables most morning, rambling on at the WhatsApp group about things that have happened and things that I'm thinking of. And I love that I love that energy of I'm not me. I'm not now consciously thinking I must go to work and I must do this. I'm just driving along, listening to an audiobook, and suddenly go, oh my God, that would be really valuable for them to know. Let me just quickly do them a voice note and tell them about that. And it doesn't feel like work. It doesn't feel like I must now switch from being a mum to being a business owner.
No, and
I'm just me.
I love that you're bringing that in, actually, because a lot of people go right, work head, life head, right, mum head. I'm just going to go and be myself head. And to some element with the mum thing, I kind of do, because I wouldn't speak to my best friends the same way I speak to my children. So there are some boundaries that I have instilled there. But 90% of the time, I'm just me. I'm going to swear. I'm going to drop the F-bombs. I'm going to do the things that work for me. And not everybody is going to love me. And in fact, I love that. I would rather repel the people that don't want to work with me anyway. And that, I think, is one of the most potent things that you can have as a business owner. And when you're online, like looking at those TikTok accounts that have gone viral, looking at those that are doing really well on Instagram, or those that are thriving through Facebook, because they're being authentic.
Exactly.
And authenticity wins because you're in
each and every
alignment.
time. Yeah. Why try and be somebody else? I mean, that's how we all get ourselves into the mess in the first place, isn't it? Of thinking that you have to, you know, go to school, get good grades, go to university, get a good job, get married, have 2 children, blah blah blah. Thinking that you have to be like everybody else is what gets you into that point of going, why am I here? What am I doing? There must be more to life than this. Going back to what you were saying earlier about like not presenting a front of everything's perfect. Years ago, I had a magazine company, and it was a big magazine company. We, you know, made lots of money. It didn't make any profit and it didn't pay me anything, but I had like 40 full-time members of staff, and it was a big business. And I was married, and on the outside, everything was perfect. Everybody used to say to me, "Oh my God, your life's so perfect. You've got a gorgeous husband and 4 children, and you run that massive company, and like you live in that lovely house." Excuse me. And they didn't know that I cried myself to sleep every single night because I was the least happy person in the history of the world. And everybody around me was saying, don't tell anybody that you're on antidepressants because that they would judge you for it. Don't tell anybody this, don't tell anybody that. And when I lost that business, it went into administration. It failed dramatically in a big puff of smoke, as they tend to when they're not aligned and it's not the right thing for you to be doing. Lots of people got hurt by that. I employed most of my family and friends, so therefore I lost most of my family and friends. And 3 months later, I walked away from my marriage. I just literally took 4 children and walked away because I realized that it was all out of alignment. Nothing was right. Everything was done for pretenses and for looks and for what other people thought. And walking away from both of those things was the scariest 6 months ever, but actually also the best thing ever, because now I'm really open about my challenges. I'm not open to the point of moaning and whining online about everything that goes wrong in my life, but this is my life and it's perfect for me, even with all of the ups and downs and blips and everything that happens. I would never want to go back to that point where everybody goes, "Oh, Kerrie's got a perfect life." No, I don't, but I have my perfect life.
Yeah, and that's it. That is it. That's the true thing. Because one of the things that I mean, I share a very similar story to yourself, but mine was kind of the other way around. So I left an abusive relationship, then went into autopilot for 6 months, then went into I need to change my life, then went into this business has got to go, and then went into changing everything that I possibly could. But the universe comes at the time that you need it the most, and these changes do happen. But Kerrie, before we wrap up, I mean, you've shared so many nuggets today. You've shared so much of your story, and I love the fact that you do things from an authentic space and you do what works for you. So what I teach is, a lot of people will come to me as a psychic business strategist, and what they want me to do is just give them everything on a plate.
Mm-hmm.
I don't work like that.
Life doesn't work like that, does it?
No. So my thing is, well, actually, let's get clarity on what you want first. Then we'll tap in, and then we'll get more. But unless you have the answers from within your own heart space, there isn't much else I can do, because we're just then going to be creating another thing that's not going to work. The thing is, not everybody's ready for that level of alignment, actually. People aren't ready to fully trust themselves, and that's something that I've taken away from what I do. Anyway, going off topic, Kerrie, let's share something with the audience. If you could share something today to a entrepreneur who's got special needs children, who is trying their best to make everything work, who's feeling like an utter complete failure, as we do, we go through these ups and downs, and if you could give them one nugget information today, what would it be?
I would probably say to try and be as kind to yourself as you are to your children, and to look after yourself as much as you look after everybody else. because we're all like Sen parents, we're all great at advocating for our children and supporting them and fighting for them and standing up for what they need, and then we don't do the same for us. So I would say the first step is to do the same for yourself, and then the second step is to build a business that does that for you. My business utterly supports me. I can take a month off when my child has heart surgery in a couple of weeks' time and take an entire whole month off and know that my business is going to advocate for me and fight for me and make money for me and just put money into my bank account for me to spend. Because that's the energy that I give to other people, and that's now the energy that my business gives to me. So I would say that the first stage is to give that to yourself, and then to look at how you can get your business to support you while you're busy doing all the amazing things that you do for your kids.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Kerrie. And I totally
Thanks
love
for having me.
And thank you for being someone who's showcasing that magic as well, because we do need more of that. We need more of the authenticity and the true magic. Okay, thank you so much for listening. We'd love to hear from you. Make sure you are commenting, leave us a review and let us know how you found this session today. And we'll speak to you soon. Bye for now.
That's a wrap for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to hit subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one. All these episodes are created in line with my book, Radically Aligned. Go check it out on Amazon, grab a copy, and let's get you started. At the back of the book, they'll also find a QR code where you'll get access to some amazing resources. You don't want to miss it. See you in the next episode.